What secrets lie buried just inches from where you stand? We walk through our homes every day, we mow our lawns, we think we know every nook and cranny, but do we really? Underneath the floorboards, behind crumbling plaster walls, or just beneath the soil in our own backyards, a hidden world often waits. It's a world of forgotten fortunes, lost history, and unimaginable wealth. For most of us, these are just daydreams, the stuff of pirate movies and adventure novels. We tell ourselves that incredible discoveries only happen to other people, in other places, in other times. But what if I told you that some of the greatest treasures ever found weren't discovered in ancient tombs or sunken ships? They were found in the most ordinary of places. The stories you're about to hear will make you look at your own home in a completely different way. They are tales of regular people, just like you and me, who stumbled upon life-changing discoveries by pure chance. A leaky pipe, a home renovation project, a simple walk in the yard. These mundane moments became the catalyst for uncovering mind-boggling riches. These aren't just stories about finding money. They are about unearthing history, solving mysteries, and coming face to face with the ghosts of the past. Our first stop is Northern California, 2013. The air is dry and hot, thick with the scent of sun-baked earth and pine. Imagine a couple taking their dog for its daily walk. They've walked this same path on their property 1,000 times before. It winds through rolling hills, a landscape that has hardly changed since the days of the gold rush. Every rock, every tree, every twist and turn of the trail. But on this particular day, something was different. Something caught their eye. It wasn't a glint of gold, not at first. The top of a rusty metal can just barely poking out of the dirt, revealed by recent erosion on the hillside. Curiosity got the better of them. They knelt down and started to dig with a stick. It was heavy, really heavy. With a final heave, they pulled the canister from the ground. It was old, buried for a long, long time. Prying open the lid, their hearts must have skipped a beat. They weren't looking at old nails or discarded trash. They were staring at a sight that seemed impossible. The can was filled to the brim with discs of dirty circular metal. These weren't just any metal discs, they were gold coins. We're in Windham, New York, in 2007. Imagine a contractor named Bobby Kistner. He's been hired to do a renovation on an old farmhouse, a place that has stood for generations. The job is straightforward: gut the kitchen and part of the second floor. It's dusty, dirty work. The house is filled with the echoes of the past, the kind of place where you feel like the walls have stories to tell. Little did Bobby know, he was about to find out just how true that was. As he and his team tore down a wall on the second floor, something unusual tumbled out from the space between the studs. It wasn't insulation or an old bird's nest, it was a small dusty box, then another, and another. Soon, a cascade of old boxes and bundles of paper, all tied neatly with string, came falling out of the wall cavity. At first, Bobby and the homeowner probably thought it was just old junk, maybe forgotten letters or receipts. They were stacked carefully, hidden away behind the lath and plaster for who knows how long. The bundles were covered in a thick layer of dust, smelling of old paper and time itself. They carefully untied one of the bundles. Inside were not letters, but something far more valuable. They were pristine, uncirculated stock certificates. These were shares for the Pan American World Airways, or Pan Am, one of the most iconic airlines in history. Among them was a certificate that made their jaws drop, a certificate for 1,750 shares of the company from before its historic merger, a type known to collectors as the V-back. Our next story proves that treasure isn't always buried in the ground or hidden in a wall. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, disguised as something completely worthless. We're heading to Adamstown, Pennsylvania, famous for its antique markets, in 1989. An anonymous man was browsing a local thrift store looking for a bargain. Not a treasure hunter, just a guy with a keen eye. He spotted a dreary, dark country scene painting, the kind you see at flea markets. The painting was unremarkable, but the ornate gilded frame caught his eye. He thought the frame alone was worth the price, haggled a bit, and bought it for $4. He took it home to remove the painting and reuse the frame. As he disassembled it, something odd appeared. Paper peeking out from behind. He separated the canvas from the backing, tucked between them, a folded, yellow document. He carefully unfolded the fragile paper. The heading was faint, but unmistakable. In Congress, July 4, 1776. He realized it looked like the Declaration of Independence. At first he assumed a souvenir replica, but the paper felt different. Thick, textured, very old. He took it to an expert. The expert went silent, stunned. It wasn't a replica, an authentic Dunlap broadside, a first printing from the night of July 4, 1776. Only about 200 were printed and sent by horseback to the colonies. At discovery only 23 were known. This became the 24th. He'd bought history for $4. In 1991 it sold at auction for $2.42 million. In 2000 it changed hands again for $8.14 million. Now we journey across the Atlantic to the rolling green countryside of Staffordshire, England. The year is 2009. Meet Terry Herbert, an amateur metal detectorist. For 18 years Terry had been sweeping his detector over fields, finding little more than old coins and belt buckles. On July 5th, he was searching a field owned by a farmer friend, Fred Johnson. It was just another ordinary day. The air was damp, the sky overcast. Terry swept his detector back and forth over the freshly plowed soil, listening to the familiar beeps and buzzes. Then, he got a signal, a strong one. He knelt down and started to dig. He pulled a small muddy object from the earth. Wiping it clean, his breath caught in his throat. It was gold, and it was intricately decorated. It looked ancient, like something out of a museum. He dug again in the same spot, and found another piece. And another. His heart was pounding. This wasn't just a lost ring or a single coin. This was something much, much bigger. Over the next 5 days Terry worked in secret, his excitement growing with every piece he unearthed. He was pulling Anglo-Saxon artifacts from the ground, more than he had ever seen in his life. The sheer quantity was overwhelming. The collection, dubbed the Staffordshire Hoard, was valued at £3.285 million, which was about $5.3 million at the time. For our final story, we head to Berlin, Germany, in 2006. Picture a young student living a typical cash-strapped life. She needed a sofa for her small apartment, so she headed to a local flea market. She found a pull-out sofa bed for around $215. It was functional, if a bit worn, perfect for her needs. One day she unfolded the sofa bed. A small object slipped out from a hidden fold. It was a small oil painting, about 10 by 15 inches, dark and abstract. She didn't think much of it at first. She almost threw it away, but on a whim she did a little research. She took it to an art expert at an auction house. The expert took one look and his demeanor changed. After careful research and authentication, the truth came out. The painting, titled Preparation, was by Carlo Saraceni, created around 1610-1620. It was a preparatory oil sketch for a larger altarpiece. The final hammer price? €19,200, about $27,630. From a rusty can in the California hills to a painting hidden in a Berlin sofa, these stories share a common, thrilling thread. They prove the world is still full of secrets. History isn't just something we read about in books. It's a tangible thing, a physical presence that can be buried, lost, and then miraculously found. These finds weren't made by Indiana Jones-style adventurers, a couple walking their dog, a contractor tearing down a wall, a student buying a couch. They remind us that we are all, in a way, custodians of the past. The ground we walk on and the houses we live in are layered with the lives of those who came before us. Under a loose floorboard, inside a dusty chimney, buried deep in the garden. The next great treasure story is out there just waiting to be written. And it could be yours.